Hello, this is Gray Hughes. On last night's video, the portion regarding the death of Celia Arazumina, who was killed by Collin Richards on the golf course. So she was a female golfer, and she was golfing on a course near the Iowa State University campus, and she was a very, very good golfer. During that live, we were called by an individual named Leo Oram, and he discussed actually knowing Collin Richards, the killer. They both were in shelters together just up until recently. And so I put all of that portion of the interview together. Now, if you go listen to last night's live, he told us a lot more about himself and so forth. I asked him to explain his circumstances, and he was gracious enough to share that with us. And I will put a link in the description to his Facebook page and YouTube channel. Yeah, he was a very interesting person. All right, so let's get started on the video right now.
Hi, Gray. This is Leo. I talked to you earlier about the case here in Ames, Iowa.
Oh, yeah.
About the case in Ames, Iowa.
Oh, yeah, okay, that's right. I forgot. I forgot all about it. I was talking about a different case, but the cold water.
Yeah, my battery is getting kind of low, so.
Okay, all right.
Figured I'd call you up real quick.
All right, tell me what you said earlier again, and then go through the.
Well, I've been traveling across the country from Detroit out here to Ames, Iowa, and I was in a shelter here in Ames, and the suspect, Collin Richards, actually came into the shelter. So I knew him for about a month or so, and I've been noticing on a lot of videos that there's a lot of information that people are throwing out there, or not information, but their opinions and their ideas about what happened, and a lot of them seem to be pretty far out there. Basically, the kid was a meth addict, and he was only there for about a month or so, and I don't know what the circumstances were, but they actually kicked him out of there, and he's been doing the homeless thing for, the remainder of that time, out here in various areas of Ames. And he was actually living in a tent behind a local Target over here, and just about a week or so ago is when he moved over to the woods at the golf course. The last time I seen him was probably about a week or so ago. I never really hung out with the guy. I thought he was kind of weird, strange. Again, he's a meth addict. But the Target is right off of South Duff Street, D-U-F-F.
Okay.
It's in between the highway and Lincoln Highway.
Oh, wow.
A little bit south of Lincoln Highway. Okay. There's also a Walmart adjacent to the Target.
Okay, let's see. That looks like there might be a Walmart there. Let's see.
Little bit.
Oh, yeah.
So the Target, yeah, would be north of the Walmart there.
Okay, yeah. These are both only about, gosh,
it's like a parking lot away from each other. So it's
only a mile.
From the golf course.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So he was living behind this this Walmart here.
He was living behind the Target, actually. A few people. Yeah, a few people from the shelter. Like some of the people there had set up camp in that area.
Oh, is that little patch of woods? The little patch of woods behind there? Just a little patch?
Yes, sir. Directly behind it. So yeah, it's kind of like a little spot where some of the people will go to seek shelter. And I knew someone that was there before, and he told the kid about this place, and he ended up going over there for I would say probably a couple of weeks. I left the shelter at the beginning of August, and I've only seen him off and on, around here. Like, I'm staying at a friend's house in his area, in my own tent, and he basically, the guy that owns the house here, he said, I don't want that guy around here anymore, but he's a nice guy. He didn't have the heart to tell him, so basically I ran into him and said, listen, the guy doesn't want you coming around anymore. He'd been accused of thieving. Everybody at the shelter wanted to beat him up because things were turning up missing all the time. I actually got the guy a job, $10 an hour, working for a handyman, and he, excuse me, he got paid the one day and came back to the shelter, and I said, listen, man, you got $100 and something odd. If you just go to bed right now and not go out and buy meth, tomorrow you'll have $200.
Yeah.
You'll have more money and you can help yourself out.
I thought it was really cool that you actually wanted to maybe help him a little bit, right?
Well, like I said, I've been walking I walked out of Detroit in April and have been walking across the country, and I got here in Ames like June 1st, and he showed up somewhere, I think, in July. I can't remember exactly when. But I've always tried to help people out when I can, because people have helped me out on the road the whole time I've been on the road.
Yeah.
So, that's what we do, when we're out here. So,
where's the
I try
shelter?
to help everyone. And
where's that shelter? Can you tell me where that is? I just want to mark them on the map.
I could, but I don't know if that would be appropriate with all the investigations going on.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's basically, it's 225 South Kellogg Street in Ames, Iowa. It's a good shelter. The people are good there. They really tried to help people. They helped me get a job, and I'm moving into an apartment here next week. So they do help people. They'll provide funding to help you get into a place. They'll help you find work. They provide meals. And he just, they were really nice people, and he always treated everybody that worked there like an ass, basically. But he was always quiet. Didn't really, other than the stealing thing, I never heard him yell or saw him lose his temper, but he was always quiet. He would sit in the library, in the Ames Public Library, and have little pieces of paper and write down words, just like a single word, and he'd turn the paper and then write down another word. So I never got to see any of it, but
weird.
That's, yeah, it was actually kind of weird. A couple of people mentioned it, so I know he had problems. When he first got to the shelter, I was sitting on the porch having a cigarette, and whoever it was that dropped him off, his father or his grandfather, told him, he said, now you be a good boy. And then, he left him there, and he came in, and like I said, he seemed kind of quiet. Most people, when they first come in there, they don't really say too much, because it's embarrassing. They've never gone through this before, that sort of thing. Right. So, but as time passed on, he just started doing the meth thing.
So the shelter looks like a house, right? It looks kind of like a house?
Yes, sir. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's not like not a shelter like you would expect.
Right. I don't know if it's going to affect any kind of investigation, because they've already arrested the guy. They can just still, look it up.
And it's basically local knowledge that he was at the shelter. So it's not, I'm not trying to hamper an investigation, obviously, but as far as I'm concerned, they've caught the guy. He was a loner. He never really hung out with too many people. Another guy that I know, a friend of mine, I saw him walking towards that way about maybe 4 or 5 days ago, and I said to the guy, I said, are you going over to Colin's tent to go smoke some meth or something? And he kind of like gave me a nervous grin, and I'm like, okay, like a child would when you catch him in a lie or something. Yeah. And I told him, I told my friend, I said, listen, man, stay away from that guy. There's something not right about him. And that was only about 4 or 5 days ago that I told him that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Now, let me ask you something. In this park here, there's a park by the golf course. Is there more tents and people camping out there? Do you know where he was camping?
No. Somebody on another YouTube channel, in one of the comments, they said that it was like a homeless encampment, which is not the case. There are people scattered about, but they stick to themselves for the most part. I've never gone out there, because like I said, once I left the shelter, I told the guy, just stay away from me. I don't want nothing to do with you because you're odd. I didn't say that to him, but that's what I was thinking, that you're really out there somewhere. Mm-hmm. But if there were other tents around, I was not aware of them, because I've never gone into that area. I just pretty much stick to my own spot here.
Yeah. So, what do you think happened then? Because I just came up with last night. I don't know if you watched. We did a live last night, and I actually came up with. I predicted the pond and exactly where the body would have been found, right by the tee box on the 9th hole. And
yep, I did see that.
Yeah, so
that information, I've never been there, so I really can't say. But I would imagine you're pretty accurate. He was a meth addict, and like the things that he was writing on the paper, I have no idea what they were. I don't know what his real background is or anything like that at all. Like I said, I just met the guy, back in July somewhere, But I think that he was really he may have been like this all along, and I just didn't recognize that. But my gut instinct said, this guy's bad news. Stay away from him. He was always on the. I mean, I guess I can't say always, but he was on the meth. Like when I went to go to work the following day after giving him the job there, I told him, you guys got to leave at 5 o'clock, and I left to go to work at around 6 o'clock, and he's on the porch like tweaking out. He's like, "Oh, did I miss work?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you probably did."
Oh, geez.
Because you were supposed to be ready at 5 and it's 6 o'clock. So, he could have been messed up while he was younger. He didn't come from a rich family. He wasn't like, as someone said, a privileged white male. He was a homeless.
Where do they say that?
Drug addict.
I don't think anybody would say that on my channel.
No, it wasn't your channel. Like I said, I was looking at other channels, and I was going through some of the comments that, what people had said, their comments or their opinions or beliefs as to what was going on. So, I mean, he seemed like a normal person around anyone, but you could tell there was something off. And then when he would get around, the circle of people that were there, then he would just, I don't even know, he would just, he'd be reclusive, or he would just blurt something out that made no sense, it had nothing to do with the conversation, and then he'd go back to just sitting there, and staring and doing the little head bobbing thing, Wow. Definitely had some issues.
Gosh, so that must feel kind of strange for you.
Yeah, it is really odd, because most of the people I had told a friend earlier today that it's like, of all the people that were in there, I would have expected some of the other people that were in there to do something like this. I wouldn't have expected him to do it, because he just didn't seem like a violent person. I mean, when people would accuse him of stealing something, he would just sit there like a kid, like, I didn't do it. Like, why are you? He'd go like into a child mode, like he was being scolded by his parents and trying to get out of, breaking the window or something.
And he probably did steal it, right? Like, I mean, if everybody... Yeah, without a doubt. He actually, like, we had a little refrigerator that we could keep our own food in. We just write our name on a label, and he came back high or drunk or whatever it was, and went in there and ate raw bratwurst. Oh, jeez.
Because, I mean, I don't know if he realized that they were raw, but he ate them until he got sick. Like, he got paid from a job. He was working at a restaurant around here, and he had a couple of $100, and he says, "Hey, let's go to the strip club." And I'm like, I don't do that sort of thing. That's not something I do. I says, go ahead and have a good time or whatever, mellow out or something. He had hundreds of dollars, and he spent it all in a few hours up there. I probably saw him about a week or so ago, where there's a lot of railroad tracks around here, and I was going over a bridge that goes over these tracks, and there's a house on the corner that has a row of bushes, and this guy, Collin, he actually stepped out of the bushes,
what?
And then like saw me and started walking towards me, and he already knows I don't like him. I threw him off the property here before. I told him to stay away from me, that sort of stuff. And so when we passed each other, no words were exchanged, but I kept in mind where he stepped out of the bushes at. And when I got to that point, I thought, well, what the hell is he doing here? Like lurking in the bushes or something.
God, you might have been looking for somebody
in
else.
broad daylight.
You might have jumped on anybody. If you were a woman that walked by, you might be dead right now, right?
Well, I mean,
possible.
He did it in broad daylight, so
yeah. I mean, he did that. He did that with the golfer too, right? So what if you were a woman right then and happened to walk by? You might be alive right this minute. I mean, it sounds like I don't know.
I don't know if that young lady was, if that was her normal routine, was to go and play like a round of golf, every day around that time or something like that. But he was in those woods, in that area, that spot, for about a week. You know, I also heard from another friend that that he had robbed somebody's campsite and took all their stuff.
Gosh.
You know, so I don't know if the stuff that he had there was the stuff that was stolen, but I mean, it's like once I was not at the shelter anymore, I kept hearing more bizarre things about him. You know, I knew he was stealing. Another guy showed up, and they said, "Well, let's go steal a half gallon of liquor from Hy-Vee over here, the place where he was arrested, passed out when the police got him the one time."
But before I get too far gone, when you talked about the train tracks and everything, I wanted to see if you could tell me on the map like where that was, so I can put a pin there too.
Oh, I don't know what the name of the street is, but like if you were to look at the Ames police station, the road that they're on, which I don't know the name of the road. I haven't learned all the roads out here. But if you're looking at the Ames police station, the road that they're on, right where the city hall is,
it's all right there.
And you started scrolling towards the west, you'll get to Grand, which is the street that the golf course is located on. And then I would say it's like one block is the only crossroad, and then the bridge is right after that road. It starts going up right at that road.
Okay.
There's like a church right across the street, so just to give you an idea. But you would just start heading west, and then you would cross Grand.
Okay.
And then there's another street. There's one block beyond Grand, and then the second block on that street is basically where he was. I don't know if you can see where the railroad tracks cross underneath there or not. I can't see your video right now.
Oh, yeah, I see it. There's actually almost 2 blocks. There's one called Hodge, and then a main street called Northwestern, but you cross that, right? And then there's then railroad tracks go underneath the road that you were talking about. Okay, right.
Yes.
All right.
So basically I was coming down from that hill, heading west, and he was in the bushes. I'm sure you can probably see the bushes if you're looking at the satellite. There's like a row of bushes at the next street, and that's where he was, I guess, lurking in, or whatever you want to say. I mean,
let me try to get this. I think I've got it though. There's so 66th Street is the street the police are on, and then you keep going west, and then eventually it crosses the railroad tracks that kind of curve a little bit. They start curving.
It starts curving like towards the south a little bit.
Yes, exactly.
I think I've never been beyond where I'm at. I think it's called like Ridge Street or Ridge Road is the corner, because I pass by it pretty much every day now. So
okay, so compared to the underpass, where were you? Where was the bush? Like, let's say, you got the railroad goes underneath that street, so where was it compared to that?
Basically just at the bottom of the hill, like right at the corner of the next street.
See, when you say hill, though,
like right underneath that. Okay. I'm sorry?
Well, see, when you say hill, I don't really see any kind of a hill. It's just
no, it's not a hill. It's an overpass over the railroad track.
Oh, okay.
Single track.
Uh-huh. So you were on the railroad tracks, walking like underneath the bridge, and you just popped out?
Oh no! I was actually on the bridge.
Oh, I see.
Going over the tracks.
Oh wow! So how did he get up out of the bushes? Isn't that up in the air? No, I see it right there on the other side. No. I get it. I see it.
Yeah, like right before you get to the next street, there's like a little row of bushes there. I can't see your video, unfortunately. My phone's battery is pretty low.
Okay. All right, so it looks like you cross over the railroad tracks, and then you walk towards the next street, and you jumped out of some bushes, or is it basically right?
Well, no, he didn't jump out. He just stepped out.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't
like it looked like a nefarious act. He just
exactly. But I still had to wonder, because there's a house there, and I've seen people there, family, so I just thought, like, what was he doing? Was he like looking in their backyard or looking in their windows or something? This was like maybe 12 o'clock in the afternoon. So I just thought it was, and I thought maybe he's in the bushes taking a pee, or something. But it just didn't. That didn't. You know, I thought about that later. I'm like, no, that doesn't sound right either. Like, what was he doing in the bushes? Like, and I thought about maybe he was waiting for the next person to come by to try to rob him.
Wow. There's like a little park area
and then saw that
there. There's a park.
Yeah, there's a little park area right across the street.
Okay, so
there.
I got this right. So there's this big opening on down below, a little bit down a slight little bank, right, by the road, and then so it's right there, but to the right, out of those bushes, right? Is what you're saying?
Yeah, like on the north side of the road.
Yep. Yeah. Wow. And then there's a house, a white house, just after that. That's kind of, you can see it, but yeah, there's these bushes, and then there's a house behind the bushes, right?
Yes.
Okay,
like
I got
driveway,
it. I don't mean to get through. I get so technical, but I like to really dial stuff in, you know, instead of having fake crap.
Right.
What we do differently here is we don't do the wild speculation. We actually, when there's a fact, then we speculate on that. That's what we do. You can speculate when you have a fact.
And see, I think that's why, like when I was looking at your video of what was going on, and you were going over the golf course, I thought, okay, well, and then looking at some of the comments, I thought this isn't nothing like these other YouTube things. Like one guy was saying that it was mind control that did this, and then he actually brought up he goes, if you look at today's date, and he started putting numerology into it somehow, and I made a comment. I said, you're an idiot, man. You're trying to sell your book by promoting this as news or insight into a crime that just happened here. I was like, that's wrong.
You're like my kindred spirit. I do the same thing. I just call people idiots all the time.
Oh yeah.
You can ask. Yeah, I just go, oh my god, because people want to go with the fantastical right off the get-go. Oh my god, it's the Illuminati or the Freemasons.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's nuts.
So I just thought that was really bizarre. And then, like I said, I was looking at your stuff and looking at the comments, and I thought, okay, well, I'll throw a comment in here and maybe, I don't know, maybe, like I said, maybe provide some insight. So, but just the crazy stuff, like somebody made a comment about, a typical white privilege, this and that, and I thought, this guy's a drug addict and he's homeless, so he has no privilege, so to say.
Right.
Exactly. And you don't know anything about the guy.
Yeah.
Not to say that I do either, but I've actually sat down and talked to him and said, listen, man, you got to pull your head out of your ass. You just had a job. You blew all your money. You're high, so you're not going to be able to work tomorrow. Like, what are you doing, man?
Yeah. What's weird, the way the case sort of worked for me, it was when we first heard about it, I thought it was a male, because like 90% of people, if not more, that play golf are men. So I thought, God, maybe it was some kind of a sniper, because his bag's there and somebody was trying to off him from a distance. Right? That's what I thought. And then somebody said it was a female golfer. Then immediately, that changes everything, really. Then you say, okay.
Right.
Then somebody maybe it was somebody she knew that she was golfing with and did something to her. And then it sort of changed after that, even because of that wooded area. I thought, okay, somebody must have just been in that wooded area, came out and grabbed her and did something to her, because we didn't know what her injuries, but she was stabbed in the head, neck, and chest multiple times. That must be really weird for you, thinking, this guy that you talked to, he did that.
Right.
It's like, Jesus, man.
That was like sleeping in another room at the shelter. We sat down, we'd all have dinner around the table, and he's right there. I'm telling my friends, I'm like, I feel like gross that I was even in the same room with this guy. Knowing this, because I don't watch the news or anything. So the first I heard of it was that somebody said they arrested Collin for murder, and I'm like, what? He's like, well, that's what one of my friends said, and my boss came in and I said, yeah, I heard a rumor about, and I didn't even finish my sentence. He goes, it's not a rumor, and he showed me, the thing on the web about it, and I tried to get him a job where I'm at now, and he actually showed up. My boss was going to hire him, because like I said, he seems like a normal person, but obviously he's not. But he just never showed up, to the job. So it's it's all just so bizarre, Gray. I tell you.
It is, man. It's wild.